created. You know, we had this chance 5,000 years ago when we started living in cities and we made all the wrong decisions. Hierarchical society, kingship, straight street plans, phonetic alphabets. This time, I hope we're a little smarter and we can exalt magic, eroticism, the feminine, tribal values, and an emphasis on the natural world and a de-emphasis on consumerism, thing worship, sexism, and generalized stupidity. So, you know, when you think about the cybernetic community, the psychedelic community, the cyberpunk community, it's at places like this that we gather and we self-select out of the rest of society. So what I think would be important to come out of an evening like this is that everybody take a good look at the people next to them and realize that somebody in this room has what you need, and you have what somebody in this room needs. The spreading of the idea of cyberspace has two aspects. It's first of all informing people for whom all of this is new and completely unexpected, but then the other thing is deepening our own commitment to it. And that means more plant psychedelics. It means higher doses in silent darkness. It means a commitment and a courage to live out this way of life so that we can really take back our minds from the dominator culture, the linear, paternalistic, industrial, capitalist culture, and live the kind of erotic tribalism that we have our fondest memories of. What put me on to the connection between archaic shamanism and the new technology and the new music was when I went to the Amazon and spent time with the people down there who use a plant psychedelic called ayahuasca. I discovered that the people were singing what they called magical songs that were revealed to them under the intoxicating influence of this plant. But when they criticized the magical songs to each other, they treated them like painting or like sculpture, not like music. So someone would sing a song, and then everyone would say, well, I liked the part with the blue stripes and the yellow dots, but I didn't like the part that was red with gray overlay. In other words, for them, sound was something that you see rather than hear. And my fantasy for virtual reality is to use it as a technology for objectifying language. Because you see, if we could see what we meant when we spoke, it would be a kind of telepathy. The method that we use to communicate now, small mouth noises moving through space as acoustical signals, and then the consulting of learned dictionaries, this is not a wide band of communication. And yet the whole world is held together by small mouth noises and their electronic transductions as radio, television, and so forth. So what the cyberpunk generation holds out to the rest of us is a new kind of communication, a communication that is like telepathy because it's seen with the eyes. And so then it dissolves boundaries and unites us back into this tribal community that we feel such a need for. So it seems to me the way the cyberpunk, cybertech community can keep its compass pointed toward a real human future is to always keep natural models in mind. So when I became interested in this whole problem of visual language, I went to nature to see if there was some natural system of communication that modeled this thing that I was interested in. And what I discovered was that in the octopus and in the squid, you have this form of psychedelic language is already highly evolved, because the octopus can change the colors and the texture of its surface, and because it lives in water and so can dance and fold and unfold parts of its body very quickly, it has essentially become the surface of its own mind. It is, in effect, a nervous system turned inside out, so that the thoughts of the octopus ripple across its surface. And, the engineers who have designed cyberspace and virtual reality environments in California are fond of saying that you can be anything in virtual reality. Well, then it seems to me the thing you want to become is naked linguistic intent, pure intent toward communication. And so by mapping the linguistic possibility onto a topological continuum and then processing it through computers, we actually create a true mirror for our own mind. And so to look upon this or to share it with other people is to participate in a true form of telepathy. And I think this true boundary-dissolving telepathy that unites us all into one family should be the goal of the cyberspatial community. It's always held against the technical community that somehow we've moved beyond the values of the natural and the biological world. But if you think about what the tools of cyberspace are, they are integrated circuits, chips, and electronic components which are made of gold, platinum, arsenic, silver, copper, silicon. These are all the materials of the earth. And in a sense, what we are doing is organizing the raw material of the earth so that it can reflect the dynamics of electrons, of light moving through fiber optic cables. So really, in the cybernetic revolution, what is happening is a kind of completion of the dream of alchemy, that spirit could actually commingle with metals and glass, and that out of this mingling of spirit and matter could come a new possibility, a new evolutionary option, a kind of philosopher's stone, a kind of panacea at the end of time. And this is, to me, what the computer and the virtual technologies all push toward, a kind of mirroring of our own souls, that what the agenda of cyberspace is a kind of turning the body inside out, bringing the soul into visible manifestation in the world as a kind of eternal transdimensional object, and then turning the body into a freely commanded object in the human imagination. I mean, this is the idea, to make this reality behind the menu and make the reality of cyberspace the reality in front of the screen, to reverse the figure-ground relationship and find ourselves free at last in the imagination. So when I try to imagine the cybernetic world of the not too distant future, what I imagine is a world where all tools and toolkits have been tucked away into a virtual cyberspace. So what we see when we look at this world of the future is we see healthy men and women living in a natural environment, naked, happy, at peace. And when these people close their eyes, in this natural environment, what they see hanging in mental space are menus. And these menus are the way you make your way into an interface, which is completely hidden in three-dimensional space, but which is nothing more than a hard wiring, a downloading into hardware, if you will, of the collectivity of the unconscious that exists anyway. I mean, what we're doing is the male engineering mentality is following along and hardwiring what the animal body has always been into. So the future is a future of ultra technology in a dimension that is split off from what is called the ordinary world. The ordinary world, the natural world, is maintained like a botanical garden or a natural preserve, and then the human imagination, which is this titanic Promethean force that is loose in our species, it is free in a virtual reality to create all of the castles of the imagination, to create the mile-long buildings in all kinds of architectural styles, to create the arcologies and vision spaces that are the affirmation of the imagination. Our mental power to project imagery has become so powerful that now really our only option is to break with the planet and head out into a cultural space defined by our dreams and by our machines. And this is in fact what we're doing, and you people are many of the people who will do it. What we're doing is we're taking back our minds. I mean, that's more than a political slogan. We're taking back our minds from reductionism, from materialism, from scientism, from all of these intellectual philosophies which disempowered the artist and made the artist somehow slave to other forces in society. In the cyberdelic future, artists will rule because the world will be made of art. Yes, you see, what we're doing is invoking a kind of collective mind. It's a political project that has been the dream of civilization for as long as there has been civilization. And it actually is within the power of this generation to create this kind of new definition of humanness, where all the shit and horror of the last 5,000 years of human history can somehow be reclaimed or made to have meaning by the application of technology toward the reflection of the human soul. Pouring the natural psychedelic vision into that loop, then endless realms of alien and unpredictable beauty lie ahead. And this is really what human beings were made for. I mean, we are the information-generating, art-making creature. All our higher activities, dance, painting, music, poetry, human relationships, all of these things have the character of art. And so the future lies in the realization of beauty, the making it more and more explicit, the sharing of our dreams by at last applying tools not toward warfare, but toward the dissolving of boundaries between people and nations, so that the real biological fact of a human community can show through. If we're able to do that, we will be able to fast forward the cultural crisis and we will be able, through psychedelics and mass media and the distribution and control of the flow of information, actually be able to save ourselves and this world from ruin. It rests in the hands of the high-tech communities developing and controlling information technology, because we have the money, we have the power to make any change we want in the world, but we have to change our minds, and that means better art and more psychedelics. And so that's the responsibility which rests on you guys, and I'm sure you're up to it. Thank you very much.